So Kunal, Som Distilleries, have you looked at that chart? The stock is down 10 odd percent. Earlier we had seen such an upsurge in the share prices, but for the last 1 month failed QIP and then this IT tax raid.
So yeah, I think the stock seems to be, it's more like a one-off because it's not impacting most of the other stocks from the liquor space. United Spirits, Radico, etc. These stocks are still looking quite attractive and sturdy on the chart. So I would probably expect that this could be just a one-off in terms of price action. But this could also mean that possibly the stock comes close to this 280 mark. So another 10-15 rupees on the downside. I would believe that that could be a good territory to go for a contra buy on some distilleries. The longer term retracement Fibonacci retracement supports, they line up closer to 275 to 80 mark for some distilleries. So I would actually be a buyer in case the stock dips down another 15-20 rupees odd.
Okay, will be a buyer if it dips by 15-20 rupees. But Kush, before I take your index calls, let me actually get into stock specific discussion, because Trent is one stock that deserves mention. After that solid surge in performance, the stock is also seeing quite a bit of up move, and Alchem Labs too, the numbers getting a thumbs up from the street. Anything on the charts?
Hi guys, thank you for having me on the show. Well, incidentally, Alchem Labs was, a call in our advisory service as well 2 days back, and glad to say that it's hit all the targets. We don't see this momentum subsiding anytime soon, by the way, because if you look at some of the setups on some of the momentum indicators, I think the rallies perhaps just begun despite the kind of sharp up move that we've seen from 35-50 kind of levels. So my suggestion on this one would be ride the wave. There's still a lot of upside left on this. In the near term, 4100 is the level that we're looking at as the first target on the upside now. And once that is taken out, 4250 is something that the stock could hit. The best way to play this one would be a trailing stop loss, 3875. Here's where I would place my stop loss. So that's the word on Alchem Labs. As far as trend goes, again, this stock's been in a spectacular up move. It could be nearing an up the near-term upside from here on. So my suggestion would be probably take some money home and buy on dips. A good entry point on trend would be 2250. If the stock does come back to those levels, then perhaps a good entry point. Otherwise, just take some money home. It will not be a bad idea to book some profits on trend right now.
Profits as far as trend is concerned. Thanks, Kush, for that call. In terms of the stock specific action, well, these are big buzzes in the sense of BSC, HPCL, Concord Biotech is inching higher, not just HPCL. Indian Oil too is actually perking up quite strongly, and then you also have Trident Limited, which is higher by 5%. On the losing side, Kirloskar Brothers reported a weak set of numbers, so that's getting a bit of a thrashing. And the other one to get a thrashing is Fusion Microfinance. That stock is now down a good 9%. Even RateGain and KC International are a couple of these other names which are coming under a lot of pressure. Let's quickly take a look at what is happening at the frontline index level. 19,400 is back for the index. In fact, BPCL, IOCL, HPCL, all three are doing well. If Kush is still with us, Kush, wanted your take regarding some of these oil and gas companies, BPCL, IOCL, HPCL?
So, not a big fan per se, but then when there's momentum, not a bad idea to sort of make a quick trade in these. BPCL looks strong. It's on the verge of giving a golden convergence here. So I wouldn't mind considering a long trade here. From the near-term perspective, my targets would be 385 would be the first level, and 395 incidentally would be the second level. On the downside, I'll have my stop loss close to 360. So the momentum's strong, the volume actions picked up. So not a bad idea to, as I said, make a quick trade. IOC is now perhaps entering into an overbought territory, so I would avoid that one. So I'd prefer BPCL over the other two at the moment.
The view coming in from Kush in terms of IOC, BPCL there. But, let's also bring on board Dharmesh Kant, Head of Equity Research at CSEC. And Dharmesh, good afternoon to you. And Diwali is here. It's time to bring some smiles and more smiles to our investors as well, and our to the investors as well as the viewers of ET Now as well. And I see you picked out some interesting picks coming in this time for somewhat 2080, and the one of them is Reliance that you picked out for us. Reliance, why that? What is looking so attractive for Reliance? Why is it making your list?
Yeah, good afternoon. Wish you all a very happy Diwali to all our viewers. And may this Diwali be very auspicious for all of us. See, the idea before, picking up stocks was that there were 3-4 macro concerns out there. One was a geopolitical concern, which is happening out. The other was global macroeconomic uncertainty. And third was the elections, both state and general elections coming into the way. So the idea was to pick up stocks which remains fairly or largely insulated from such factors and is driven by their own internals of the business. So from that perspective, I think Reliance made the cut. And if you look at all the verticals, be it the geo platforms or the retail vertical or oil to gas, these verticals have been firing very well. So we expect Geo platform to give a CAGR of around 20% on the operating profit for next 2 to 3 years, retail 12%, and gas around 12 to 13%. Like 30 MMS CMD kind of a production, they are very near to it. They did 29 in the last quarter. So it's likely to hit 30 and plus on that. Only the oil to chemical is an area of concern where we are expecting to 2 to 4% kind of a downward revision on the earnings contribution. So if you do a SOTP kind of a valuation, around 1,05,000 crores of profit is expected by FY26. So it's available at 14 or 15 times PE multiple. So 20-30% kind of an upside is very much on the cards. And here we have not discounted the valuation or earnings flow from the clean energy business. So that we have set aside for further delta room. So we'll do that as and when the opportunity arises. So I think risk reward ratio is very favorable with the kind of correction we have seen in Reliance Industries, and it's poised for a good up move if you have a holding period of 1 to 2 years.
I also wanted to get a sense from you regarding Poonawalla FinCorp. The entire micro lending space has seen quite a bit of perk up. What makes you so confident about Poonawalla FinCorp?
See the change in management, I mean the earlier management to this Poonawalla guys. And at the same time, if you look at the AUM growth for last 4-5 quarters, they have been very consistent with around 15 to 17% sequential AUM growth this company has been clocking. And that too comes on the top of a better asset quality. So asset quality has improved sequentially over last 2 years. And now, I mean, the net NPA is 0.72%, which is one of the best in the industry. And this comes at the top of very high ROAs. So even if you strip the exceptional gain which happened in the last quarter, after stripping that, they have reported an ROA of around 5% and NIMs of 11.42%, which is sequentially also 2 basis points higher. I think given the impetus the promoters are having on this company and the pace at which they are growing the AUM, as for higher valuation multiples, it will keep on commanding and there would be multiple re-rating going forward in this stock. So it tick boxes all the growth factors into place. So this is a growth buy, and we are on the top of the interest rate upcycle. So from here, any cut in the interest rate will further fuel the lending side of the business. So that's the reason why we have picked it up. And from target perspective, around 450 is the target we are expecting of Poonawalla FinCorp from at least a year kind of an holding. So price to book, I mean, with peers, it's a bit expensive, but that is how it is with the companies which are growing at a scorching pace.
FinCorp is already at 360 levels. You're expecting levels of around 450. Thank you so much for joining us today. A bit short on time, but your other two ideas are HAL as well as RVNL. We'll put it on the screen for our viewers as well. Appreciate you joining us on the show. Back to the markets and taking stock of what is happening is JP Power, which is again spiked around 15%. Last couple of days have been very volatile for the Jayaprakash group of companies. We have been seeing moves from upper circuit to lower circuit, and today JP Power is the one which is up almost 14-15%. And Maharashtra Seamless too has managed to gain almost 8%. And the other small cap name per se is Reliance Power. That stock has inched higher by 7%. Kunal, would you even fathom a trade on the likes of JP Power, Reliance Power? Very high risk reward, huh?
Yeah, ideally in a normal scenario, we would not have traded over here. But Anisha, we are into this market zone where these small cap 2-digit stocks are the actually ones where there is a high degree of momentum. So not participating into these spaces would probably lead into some sort of FOMO kind of a feeling. So you have to of course drop down your position sizes into these kind of names, but these are very strong breakouts which have happened. So just to give a relative example, something like what happened for Suzlon when the stock had broken past about 14.5, 15 levels, I think few months back, and the stock has now moved to almost 30 plus levels for itself. I would expect that many of these power stocks are showing similar kind of a pattern. So maybe a small kind of a trade over here, but R Power and JP Power could be something which I would be looking out for.
Okay, something you would be looking out for. Kush, what's your view also coming in on something like this as well? Is that something you are looking at as well as of now, whether it's a Suzlon, which has already seen a run-up like Kunal was mentioning as well? Is that something on the charts?
Let me just add one more stock to the name, which is actually in a bit of a flavor right now, which is Vodafone Idea, right? And I think that that's quite complete the list. Well, I know I completely agree with Kunal that these are the stocks that have seen the momentum. If I speak just broadly about the markets, a bulk of the money was made in the mid and the small cap names. Right now, these two-digit stocks, they appear a bit of a risky bet. So as again Kunal was saying, keep your position sizing small and ride the momentum. As long as you can do that, it's not a bad idea to be in some of these names. Suzlon might perhaps just be topping out, at least in the near term. So, the likes of Vodafone and JP Power, these are two stocks that I have on my radar to, ride this kind of momentum that's just, come about in the last, couple of months' time.
Those are some of the names which are, technical experts are tracking at this point of time.